TMZ Live. At least on my part, I want to disclose to everybody that my blood is boiling over Donald Trump's $1.776 billion slush fund that could go to compensate January 6 rioters who injured police officers and were convicted. So I want to disclose that and then say that our colleague in Washington, D.C., Charlie, seems to also be upset enough to ask Ted Cruz questions about it.
I am going to go ahead and take credit for this because I came in with my blood boiling and called Charlie on my way in and said, you need to find people on the Hill.
I called Charlie as soon as I got in. I didn't know you called. I called Charlie too.
I said, this is outrageous. If this taxpayer money ends up going to January 6 rioters, it is outrageous. Okay. So Charlie set about doing exactly that.
So we got Ted Cruz on Capitol Hill.
Ted Cruz.
And you got to listen to the give and take here. And this gets very testy, but listen carefully. We will unpack.
Senator Cruz, how are you, mate?
I'm doing great.
It's good to see you. Hey, I'm a little concerned that January 6 rioters, violent January 6 rioters who were convicted and then pardoned, I'm a little worried that they're going to be entitled to taxpayer money, that money's going to come out of my pocket and go into their pockets. Do you think violent, convicted and then pardoned January 6 rioters, do you think they should be eligible for this sort of slush fund?
You know, I'm not surprised you're worried about that, but I'm curious, were you worried at all when Joe Biden was weaponizing the Department of Justice?
I don't want to talk about Joe Biden, sir.
I know you don't. I understand you got a political agenda.
No, I don't. I just don't want to pay January 6 rioters.
Look, I get. You get to ask a question.
Can you
I get to give the answer. I'm giving you my answer.
Okay.
Which is that you were not remotely concerned when Joe Biden weaponized the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents, to prosecute them, to go after Donald Trump. Trump was indicted not once, 4 separate times. It was the greatest abuse of the rule of law in our nation's history.
Do you think January 6 rioters should be eligible for this money? Yes or no?
I think what the Biden Justice Department did is they prosecuted people who engaged in peaceful protest. I believe...
I'm not talking about Biden.
But you don't... If you want me to answer, let me answer.
Okay, sure.
I believe people who engage in active violence should be prosecuted and face consequences. I believe people who engage in peaceful protests are protected under the First Amendment, and I think the Biden Department of Justice deliberately targeted people who engage in peaceful protests.
So yes or no to my question?
And by the way, I wrote an entire book on this entitled Justice Corrupted, How the Left Weaponized
Please just answer my question.
And why are you not concerned about the abuse of power?
Because I'm concerned about this today.
I know, you're concerned about it.
So you won't answer the question?
Your political agenda
is no agenda. Are you going to answer the question, sir?
I have answered
you didn't.
It's just not consistent.
Do you think the January 6 rioters are eligible for the slush fund? Thanks, Ted.
Well, there you go. Now, what is fascinating about this is that Ted Cruz did say in the middle that violent protesters should be prosecuted and face consequences. But then Charlie kept saying, okay, should they get money? And he would never answer it. He kept going back to Joe Biden, which is a deflection.
I don't think he accepts the premise that that violent offenders who were convicted and then pardoned are going to be eligible
for it. What does he mean by face the consequences?
Well, the consequences would have been they were convicted and they were sentenced. He said there were no consequences because they were pardoned.
No, but he said they should be convicted and face consequences.
Correct.
Well, but that Biden also targeted peaceful protesters.
But Charlie's not talking about them. Charlie's talking about violent protesters. He is talking around it, but he doesn't want to say they shouldn't get money. He does not want to say that. And it's telling.
Which is exactly it heralds exactly what is going to happen, and we all know is going to happen.
Of course.
And I was so angry about this morning, and I thought, I've never done this before, but I am going to write a sternly worded letter to my congressman. And we started talking about it, and I realized my congressman can't do anything about it because this was all a settlement between the president and the IRS, and Congress has no oversight over it. They have no say in who's going to get the money. That's going to be decided by a 5-member commission where the members are picked by the acting Attorney General.
Well, the eligibility will be up to that 5-member body, though. So there is a gatekeeper for who gets the money.
But who are those commissioners?
I agree. It'll be appointed people who are sympathetic to.
We know what's going to happen. He pardoned them already. He pardoned them because even the violent ones, he said, were unfairly prosecuted and targeted. So we know what's going to happen.
And that's what's upsetting to me is that the violent ones, all right? If you want to, if the people who are in the gray area and you want to say that they were peacefully protesting, okay, you can make that argument. But the people who were very clearly violent on camera that we all watched live that day, that they are now going to get taxpayers' money on top of the fact that they were pardoned is...
Ted's laying down a marker that he doesn't want the violent ones to be compensated.
I got to say, Jacob in Washington, D.C., our Jacob found Representative Randy Fine and was more specific and said, what about violent protesters on January 6th who injured police officers? And he still wouldn't say no to it. No, they shouldn't get it. He wouldn't say it.
I don't know why this is so difficult for, and it should not be.
Because they don't want to cross.
This is not
they don't want to cross.
This should not be partisan. This should be absolutely bipartisan. That everyone, regardless of party, believes that if you are assaulting police officers or if you're damaging public property at the Capitol and threatening the lives of Congress members, that you should not
even
be now
when your
paid,
values conflict.
That you should not be paid now.
It's the same people who won't say that Biden won the election. They have to toe the line and not
I don't want to
actually
get
utter
into that
these
because
things.
that is very clearly a political thing.
Well, look, and some of the things Biden did, absolutely, he targeted people.
But that's a deflection to say he weaponized the Justice Department.
I agree that there is evidence that he did do that. But that's not about this. We're asking about January 6th rioters. And it's like, who are you going to believe? Trump or your lying eyes? But the bottom line is that we can't find a Republican so far, and we got other Republicans, and nobody would say they shouldn't get money. And, you know, part of this is today there is a primary where Donald Trump is going after Representative Massey, who voted against him on Epstein. And he has done everything he can, including sending the Secretary of Defense to campaign, against Massey. So that's where we are in this country. And I got to tell you, I talked to somebody yesterday who's saying, yeah, give all these people who committed violence against cops money, and boom, Donald Trump creates his own militia.
Wait, who? Someone?
Oh, gee, that's the next step is that these
someone
will then fight for him?
That's what this is.
Is to set up your own militia?
Well, I'm just saying.
Independent of the U.S.
They've already been pardoned. Hold on. They've already been pardoned. Why do they? This
now
payment,
they'll take up arms
this
for him?
payment is for them to form the militia?
Well, it's just, hey,
that's scary,
I got your
Harvey.
back. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm just saying this is what people talk about right now. It's like, why the hell is he bending over backwards to give money, we believe, to these January 6th rioters, because Trump will not say no to that. Why is he doing that?
And why deal with the political consequences of that unless you have a larger ambition in mind?
By the way, did we mention how much the fund is? $1.776 billion.
Yeah, which is the independence. Yeah.
Kristen Clemens, Dayton, Ohio. We have to stop acting like Harvey is wrong. This is completely to fund his militia. At the end of the day, these were people who, all of them were violent. There was no non-violent January 6er. Everybody was there to create violence, whether it was at the hands or it was the mindset of violent people. This man is working to become a king. This is his militia, and there is no more real government. We're no longer protected. If these people get money, that's to emphasize them to be able to do it again, and they're going to do it even larger because now they have the funds.
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, when people are struggling to, I know somebody who they're calculating, where can we drive? Because it's too expensive right now. And they are, swallowing so much of our income. People who make money are paying a lot of money to the federal government.
And
it's
where is that
going
money
to
going?
This?
Into the pockets of, potentially.
Yes, it is,
I'd like to say there's still a chance that it's not going to happen.
Oh, please.
But I've seen this movie.
You've seen this movie. And I got to tell you, we are in troubled times right now.
Coming up. A very popular influencer and a singer who had a child together 7 years ago. We're talking about Gabby Gonzalez. She is the travel influencer. And Jack Avery is a singer. Well, now, Gabby has been arrested in a murder-for-hire plot.
Be right back.
A very popular influencer and a singer who had a child together 7 years ago. We're talking about Gabby Gonzalez. She is the travel influencer. And Jack Avery is a singer. And he used to be in a boy band called Why Don't We?
They were a big boy band.
Yeah, big boy band. And they had a child together, had a daughter 7 years ago. Well, now, Gabby has been arrested in a murder-for-hire plot. She's been arrested for conspiring with her father, allegedly, to hire a hitman to kill Jack.
And the father, by the way, also arrested.
Yes, Francisco Gonzalez arrested, Gabby Gonzalez arrested, conspiracy to commit murder against Jack Avery. And how this all played out
is a wild story.
And it has been going on for about 5 years. Law enforcement has been working on this case, and they've just now made the arrests of both Gabby and her father. So this goes back to 2021, and according to police, there was a custody dispute between Gabby and Jack, and that Gabby's family, as one witness put it, was obsessed with getting full custody of their daughter, Lavender. And things got worse and worse, and at some point, there's a conversation where the father allegedly said it would just be cheaper if he were dead, referring to Jack. So they set about trying to dirty up Jack, they had a PI tailing him, trying to find information about him that would help them win the custody case. That apparently didn't pan out, and so at some point they start talking about how they could possibly have him killed.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. This is what police say in the arrest documents for Francisco. And they say that they had witnesses who came forward, and the witnesses who came forward are very, very interesting because we've now learned more about this. There are people who were very close to Gabby who heard all about this and eventually went to police.
Yeah, so there's this guy, Kai, who was described as a friend of Gabby's, and that is who Francisco was communicating with and transferring, according to cops, $10,000 to him to have him find someone to have Jack killed. So I talked to someone close to this investigation. So a nanny who was, and a friend and roommate living with Gabby back in 2021 heard about all this. So she was privy to all this information. When she found out that they were trying to have him killed, she went to the FBI back in 2021. So she goes to the FBI. The FBI does this big investigation. Actually, Gabby gets married in the middle of all this
to a
different guy who had no idea this was going on. 3 months after they get married in 2022, the FBI raids Gabby and this guy's home in Hawaii. They take electronics, they interview a bunch of people. So why it took so long for them to arrest is, I'm being told, the FBI did a whole investigation, interviewed everyone back in 2022, have been working on this case, and they didn't feel like they had enough to charge anyone.
So wait a minute. So my understanding early this morning, when we were looking at this, was that there was some alleged middleman who was going to hire a hitman, and the middleman was working with the police.
Kai,
and,
yes.
and that
That's
the
Kai.
and that the killer, the would-be killer, was actually an officer who had a conversation.
So eventually they get Francisco, the dad, on the phone. He thinks he's talking to
the killer,
the hitman that they're going to hire.
Right.
And it's actually a federal agent who is getting all the information from him.
So what year is this?
This is back in 2021.
So that's my question.
Yes.
So you've got a guy on the phone talking to the killer saying, I'll give you $10,000.
Yes.
And why did it take 5 years?
According to the person I'm talking to who's close to this investigation, the FBI, for whatever reason, thought they didn't have enough to charge anyone. So a year ago, the lead detective brought the case to LA. So
because
they
Jack
brought the
lives
case
here in LA.
because his house is in LA. So the LASD then opens up their own investigation this last year, start interviewing everybody, and then they build a case, and they're essentially the ones who arrested.
But why didn't that happen in 2021?
Because it was an FBI case.
But why wouldn't the FBI have done what the LA County sheriffs did?
That's the only
We don't know
thing
yet.
that we don't know.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
So that during this interim, does Jack know?
Yes, he
hey,
does.
okay, so he knows he's a marked man. How's he handling
Because
custody?
he was being interviewed, or he did an interview in September where he talks about it.
We should play some of this because so in September last year, Jack is doing this podcast interview and reveals that he was told that someone was trying to kill him.
2 agents, they show up, they drop their badges, and they're like, we're the FBI. We would like to talk to Jack if we can. And my mom, she's like, whoa, 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 like, is everything fine? Like, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, Jack hasn't done anything wrong. We think he's a victim of something. We end up talking, and someone hired someone to kill me.
Do you know who was trying to have you assassinated?
I can't speak on a lot.
Yeah, but I'm actually afraid for you. I'm also afraid that Lavender can grow up without a dad.
That's another thing I had to fight for a long time. Like, me and her baby mama, we've been pretty good recently. Like, it took us a while, but we're getting there. I'm not trying to put shame on Gabriella. She is a great mom. I won't lie. She's an incredible mom.
Dude, she put her life on hold to
Yeah.
have a kid.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I'll always say that. She's a great mom.
So he says, I can't talk about it, meaning he does know.
He knows things.
He knows. Now, the question is, because now he's saying, well, Gabby and I are getting along well now.
Did he know? It seems like he
It feels like he knew about her father and not necessarily her. That's the way it feels.
That's what it feels like.
Or he's just saying like she's a good mom to their
Well, you don't
their
say
daughter.
she's a good mom aside from her wanting to kill me.
Well, hold on. He didn't say anything.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird.
But he also didn't say anything about anyone who. So he's not revealing that. That's what he's
knows
keeping.
some. He said, "I know." Basically, I know
By the
something.
way, so he just filed documents, a restraining order against her, and is trying to get full custody of their daughter.
The only thing that makes sense to me is he knew that the father was out to get him, at least allegedly, but he must not have known about Gabby because the way he's talking now is, oh, we get along. Now that she doesn't want to kill me anymore, we get along well.
I mean, again, hold on. You got to remember that was in September last year.
Right, but that was 3 years after 2021.
Yeah, because he knew that this whole that they were plotting to kill him way back in 2021.
Right. So it's like, how are you? Now we're getting along fine. Now that she doesn't want to.
It is kind of crazy.
Wild.
She's going to be in court later today, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot more details coming out about this.
Shahan Kalantar from Sydney, Australia, and absolutely one of the most interesting things that has happened in recent times. It's just unbelievable what's happening in this matter, particularly the pace. It just doesn't make sense why it took so long for the FBI to bring this case, why it needed to go to Los Angeles, as was clearly articulated.
Right.
And the difficulty in understanding the timeline just doesn't gel.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense. God, I'm so jealous.
I know. We're both just looking at that.
Oh my God, I am so jealous.
I could never. I don't have enough.
That is perfection. Your beard and mustache, it's perfection.
I live in awe of both of you. Thank you for your kind words.
Can you just twirl it?
No, don't.
No, I just want to see.
You don't have to twirl it.
I always see that in the movies. I love it.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. But
Thank you,
wild
man.
story, right?
Yes,
completely
very wild.
Taking everyone by, out of left field.
No, it's crazy.
Coming up.
Taylor and Travis are tying the knot this summer. If you sign a prenup, it's almost always put in there that the law of the state where you sign it is going to govern. So the question, where did Travis and Taylor, if they indeed do have a prenup?
They have a lot of options because they own a lot of different property. Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
The new Superman movie is filming in an Atlanta prison and it is disturbing the inmates' routine.
Inmates, welcome to Hollywood.
It's TMZ.
Taylor and Travis are tying the knot this summer.
I'm sorry, Taylor. What's her name?
I forget the last. Oh, right.
Travis Kelsey.
Right,
Yes.
right. They're tying the knot this summer. And they are very wealthy people. She is worth $2 billion, that's the estimate. He worth only $90 million. So a lot of money is on
$90
a lot of money is on the line. And we know that most celebrities, not all of them, but most get prenups, people that wealthy, before they tie the knot. So the question, if they get a prenup. Because remember, we were shocked that Jen and Ben didn't get one.
that they didn't, but that was a slightly different circumstance, I think.
So the way the law works is that if you sign a prenup, it's almost always put in there that the law of the state where you sign it is going to govern, regardless of where you end up living. And that's relevant because there are certain states that will really strictly enforce prenups, and then there are other states where they'll say, not so fast, maybe it can be challenged. So the question, where did Travis and Taylor decide to sign?
And
if they indeed do have a prenup.
They have a lot of options because they own a lot of different properties.
Yeah, so the property kind of determines what state we're going to pluck. We're going to cherry pick out of the 50 states. And we're told there's about 6 states that are on the table. Well, you got to minus California. We're told that California's not happening. So the 5 states you have left, Tennessee, Kansas, Missouri, New York, and remember she has that house in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island as well, right.
So out of all those, the one that's going to benefit Taylor the most, because she's the one coming in with the most money, is going to be
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Because they tend to strictly enforce these prenups. New York is the least desirable because they can often be challenged. And that's what they're looking for. To be honest, both sides kind of want where they
want it enforced
because they both have.
They would have
legal
agreed that their lawyers would have agreed that this is what's best for both of you in the case of it breaking up.
But it
which would never happen.
Which would never happen.
Right.
There's also kind of the dilemma where like a prenup kind of takes the romance out of like your relationship a little bit. It's
But
kind
it's
of
not
a
about
hard
romance.
discussion to have.
But it's not about romance. It's
I know, but you're saying like, look, if we break up, if this ends in divorce, here's how I'm gonna get out of this thing.
People do it every day. But the rub here to me is like Jen and Ben, that I could see her saying, "Oh, this is going to be forever," even though it's the second time they were engaged.
Sure.
And she's had 3 marriages before, and he's had 1. Oh, this is a forever marriage. So what's the point of having one? Because they didn't. Well, and they both could have.
Right. But they thought this was going because they had come back together after so long. Like
does Taylor Swift view this as a forever marriage?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
And I would say he does
Travis
as well.
does too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it possible? Because remember, what they bring into the marriage is still theirs.
Right.
It's separate property unless
it's just everything
commingled.
after.
Everything after.
Yeah.
So is it possible that they would say to each other, you know what, you've got your $2 billion, I got my $90 million. What we make is ours. From this point forward, we are going to live together forever in happiness, and we're not going to have a prenup. Is it possible?
No way.
No way.
There's no
even
way
if she wanted to,
no way
there's too many smart people around her.
Taylor's father
doesn't control Taylor.
I know he doesn't control it, but
he's a pretty good advisor.
Yes, he's an advisor, and there's no way that he would say, I love Travis, he's great, I'm sure you guys will be together forever. You don't want this hanging over your head.
I'm not saying it's not smart. I'm saying that she is a romantic. She writes about it. She's written about it since she was a kid. And this is her fairy tale romance and forever husband. And I mean, I know you're saying it.
She's also had a long time being this successful,
and
right?
A businesswoman.
And being a businesswoman. And she has also been screwed over in business deals, right?
Yes.
She's going to have a prenup.
Would you have said the exact same thing with Ben and Jen?
No, I do see that as a little different because even I thought, all right, they're definitely going to be together because why come back together after 30 years?
Are you kidding me? We did a documentary saying there were warning signs. What are you talking about?
To be fair, we did those warning signs after they broke up.
No, we didn't. We did it before they broke up. We were just right.
Hi, I'm Liz from Oregon. And no matter what state they file in, I hope that there is some kind of Swiftie clause in their prenup because Taylor's fans are notoriously protective. And if they divorce and if he does her dirty, they are going to come for him so hard.
Oh my
and I don't think there's a prenup in the world that can protect him from that.
No, his lawyers would say, if we break up, you must make a public statement
to the Swifties,
asking the Swifties to leave Travis alone. That's the only clause he wants.
That's it. Funny.
Take all the money, but protect me from the Swifties.
Coming up,
A young woman who was 17 at the time crashed in her car. She was driving with two friends. The two friends were killed. She survived, and she is now serving 2 life sentences for the murders of her friends. Her father, Steve Shirilla, was suspended from his job. Steve is joining us now. Welcome to TMZ Live.
Be right back.
Well, a new Netflix documentary has a lot of people taking a closer look at an infamous case from 2022, the case of McKenzie Shirilla. The documentary is called The Crash, and this is about a young woman who was 17 at the time and crashed in her car. She was driving with 2 friends. The 2 friends were killed. She survived, and she is now serving 2 life sentences for their murders, the murders of her friends. In the documentary, there are a lot of people speaking about McKenzie and what led up to this crash, including her father. And the day after the documentary came out this past weekend, on Monday, her father, Steve Shirilla, was suspended from his job. He is an art and digital media teacher. The school is called the Mary Queen of Peace School in Cleveland.
Catholic school.
Catholic school, and they have suspended him, it seems, because of things he said in this documentary. Now, Steve is joining us now just to talk about what the school said and why his defense of his daughter led to his job being now in jeopardy. Steve, welcome to TMZ Live.
Hi.
So, Steve, in the documentary, there is a lot about marijuana, that your daughter had used marijuana and that you, at least the way it was portrayed, didn't have a problem. And it seems that this could, and that it may have contributed to the crash. So, because remember, she apparently didn't even try to apply the brakes, and she was going extremely fast. So, on the marijuana side, which seems to be pretty relevant, what do you say about that?
Well, in the documentary, that is part of a longer answer. That was one part of, and I can't remember what the question was because the documentary people had interviewed us for 2 days straight and then came back and did more interviews. So there was a lot of questions answered. My answer wasn't my answer. How to explain this wasn't in support of marijuana, and it wasn't saying I'm smoking marijuana. What I was saying is that who am I to say who can smoke and who can't smoke? Now, I never allowed my daughter to smoke marijuana. How was I stopping her? You know, she was. Couldn't lock her up in her room. I'm not quite sure where there's a problem with what I said. It was never, hey, everybody go smoke marijuana. Hey, you should, you know, it's, I don't understand why the documentary felt the need to put that in there. I don't know what the relevance was to my daughter in this accident she was in.
Right. We should also say that, and this is made clear in the documentary, that at the time of the crash, they didn't find any evidence of marijuana or any other drugs in her system.
Well, that's not necessarily true. They found some traces of marijuana in her system. There was 3 markers for it, and 2 of the markers were inactive, and the 3rd one could have said OMVI. That's in the detective notes, or that was in the discovery that we saw. And we found out that they did not want to charge her with OMVI. They wanted to charge her with murder.
Can we go back to something you said earlier, which is, who am I to say what my daughter can and can't smoke? But she was 17 years old at the time. And so there are a lot of people who are...
Have you ever smoked?
I have,
When you were younger?
Yeah.
I'm not with my daughter all the time. All I can do is tell my daughter, don't do it, don't do this.
But I had no idea. You
What?
may have. I'm just curious. Did you actually tell her that? Did you have talks with her about it?
Yes, I have told her many times. Okay. Now I had no idea she was smoking in the car like that from the videos. That was new to me. I understand. I knew she did it, but I couldn't stop her. What am I supposed to do? You know, am I supposed to lock her up in a room?
I'm curious, Steve. This case obviously got a lot of attention at the time. Her trial did, and I'm sure you were speaking out in her defense at that point. What changed? I'm curious what the school said to you what they saw specifically in the documentary.
The school said that the diocese, this came, my understanding is it came from the diocese. They got inundated with some phone calls from concerned parents, and so they decided to put me on administrative paid leave until they did an investigation. And that's what I've been told. And supposedly they're doing an investigation, and that's all I know.
I'm curious, when the school says that they're going an investigation, I would imagine, I hope that they're going to speak to you at some point. Is this about your parenting, or is this about your defending your daughter?
I have no idea. They have not spoke to me. I've called the diocese asking for. I asked to have a conversation, but in theory, I would hope they would support me like I've supported that school for the past 7 years. I mean, I don't know why they didn't speak to me first or bring me in and have a conversation with me. I mean, that's their decision. I mean, all I am is one of their teachers. I have no idea. You have to talk to the diocese for that kind of answer.
So this is clearly not just the events and the prosecution of your daughter, but the documentary itself. It just must have turned your life upside down.
I think it's more what I said about the marijuana. I think that's where it's going. I've seen a lot online that I'm saying they're going, okay, it's okay to smoke marijuana. You can go smoke marijuana, and I smoke marijuana. If the diocese wants to test me every day, they can test me, and I won't have any marijuana in my system. I can promise you that.
Do you think that when you watched back the documentary, you said that you sat for 2 days with the producers. Yes. I'm sure there was a lot that was said. How do you feel about did you watch the final product? Was it a fair depiction of what you said?
There's more to it than just the 4, 5, 6 sound bites they had of us. Unfortunately, we had no editing, or we didn't have any of the control of the editing. They did what they saw fit. This is their product. They were very upfront with us when they spoke to us. And am I completely happy with how it came out? There's some things I like, and there's some things I don't like. I mean, and we've gotten a lot of support for her and her innocence in this.
Well, just real quickly, this is hard to do quickly, but when you say her innocence, explain that, because to most people, she was behind the wheel, and
there was no braking.
Well, yeah, she was. There is zero evidence of intent and prior calculation in this case. There's no evidence, and the only evidence the prosecution actually has is 4.74 seconds of black box information. Your car has a black box like the airplanes, but it doesn't record the cabin sound, all that. It's mechanical, and it is a non-linear recording. And what happened, or what our car expert said happened, was that the car was, I can't explain the speed. First of all, I have no idea. Nobody is ever going to know what happened in that car. It's not that the car was going fast. It's not that the car crashed. It's why. There's no explanation of why. And the prosecution, even in this documentary, says, look, I turned over every rock. I looked at everything, and I couldn't find anything. So it's murder. So she did it on purpose. This prosecutor, in my opinion, is lazy. It's like the wife dies and they instantly think it's the husband. So there's so much in this case, and there's so much omittance of evidence and changing of evidence and illegally changing evidence that there is some.
You're not suggesting there was something that went wrong with the car, are you? I mean,
I don't know. It could have. It's possible.
Because the black box I would think the black box would have shown that if there was a mechanical.
No.
I think what you're saying.
Hold on.
I think what you're saying is this sounds more like, at least in your head, vehicular manslaughter than it does murder.
It is vehicular homicide, and it should have never left the juvenile court. There's so much more to this than what the prosecution put forth. We have we have contradictory evidence about things that were said in the court. There's nothing that says prior content or prior calculation, and there's no intent.
We hear, you know what? We're out of time, but we hear your point. I mean, your point is that you need to show intent in order to prosecute somebody for murder, and you're saying that this feels to you like the most they could show is reckless, is vehicular manslaughter. So look, we are out of time. We really, really appreciate it. I know it's hard for you, but we appreciate you coming on.
Well, I hope you look into more of my daughter's innocence and maybe go to the free McKenzie Shirilla page or Crime Circus.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
No problem.
Coming up.
Kathie Lee Gifford, $100 million. That is what she is asking for her Connecticut estate.
Well, but what you got to do is, what did she buy it for? That's the key. $7 million and change. $7.4 million.
Now, when did she buy it?
In 1834.
Be right back.
So when I say the name Kathie Lee Gifford, I think one of two things comes to mind. Let's see if you get one of them.
Well, clearly Regis.
Regis is the other. And Regis is one, and the other would be that cruise line commercial she
I was
did.
just going to say.
The cruise line commercial.
It's Carnival.
Yes.
If you could see me now, I'm on a sunset cruise.
Okay. Well, now you can add something else to the list. How about $100 million? That is what she is asking for her Connecticut estate.
Well, but what you got to do is, what did she buy it for? That's the key.
Yes, what she bought it for is, what, $7 million?
$7 million and change. $7.4 million.
Now, when did she buy it?
In 1834.
Wow, that's rich coming from you. By the way, Kathie Lee Gifford is younger than you.
I'm kidding. It's beautiful.
It is an amazing state. So this is in Greenwich, Connecticut,
which is the most. It is the hoitiest of toitiest areas.
That is, you're right on the sound. Wow.
Not a fan of the sofa, but everything else is beautiful.
The sofa's not great, but look at that.
Oh my God, it's so pretty.
Woo. Now, how many acres are we talking here?
Furniture is very dated to me. I hope it doesn't come with the furniture.
It's like 3 acres. It's around 3 acres.
Here's my question. Is this really worth 100? I know Greenwich is very uppity and very high-end and expensive, but 100 million seems like a lot for a house that was bought
that's
for
an estate.
7.4.
I mean, that is an
it's
estate.
a huge estate.
Right on the water.
On the water.
I'm sure it's got a dock and everything.
Yeah. Oh, it's got a dock.
A dock, a recording studio.
Cedar Cliff.
It's got
at
everything.
The tip of a peninsula.
8 bedrooms.
Pool, spa, fitness center, tennis courts, all that.
You know, the funny thing is.
Yes, it does have a boat dock and a private beach, nonetheless.
And if you did this in a different area of the country, this would be a $4 million estate.
What area of the country are you talking?
I'm not going to bite the bait.
Huh? No. Tell me what area of the country.
Charles and I do this all the time. We look at stuff, and he comes over to my desk and he says, "Oh, I can't believe it's that cheap."
And then you say,
you get what you pay.
And then, oh no, you say, well, but then you have to live wherever it is.
I didn't say it.
I know where you're thinking.
I'm not thinking where you're thinking, because I don't know what you're thinking, and I'm not going to say what I am.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Diamond the Entertainer. Now listen, the fact that the house is $100 million, that's not the biggest shocker for me. The biggest shocker is the fact that the house has been sitting empty for years as Kathie lives in a whole nother state. And she has owned it for 32 years.
Yeah, no, you're right. She lives in Nashville.
Yeah.
And you know,
why sit on it for this long?
Well,
what took her so long? Why wouldn't you're right? Like, why didn't she sell it?
She probably has no mortgage on it because they bought this for forever ago.
Right.
So they
took time to fix it up and everything.
Yeah, and it's just kind of her house.
By the way, we left out the one feature that is probably the most expected feature in a Kathie Lee Gifford home: wine cellar. Oh. There is a wine cellar.
Hoda, you listening?
Coming up.
Kim Kardashian, pill junkie. She takes dozens.
You mean vitamins?
Dozens of pills every day.
Who just said vitamins, supplements?
I take probably 35 supplements a day.
Kim! Be right back.
Kim Kardashian, pill junkie. She takes dozens.
You mean vitamins?
Dozens of pills every day.
Who just said vitamins, supplements?
All
Stop
sorts of
saying
supplements.
pills.
So she was on Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast, and she went through her health regimen, and it is crazy.
Take notes.
There's so much stuff that we have to now take. It's a lot.
Supplements. I take probably 35 supplements a day.
Kim!
I spread them out 3 times a day. And I thought, okay, I can't do this fish oil right now, like anymore. I have like pill fatigue. I have to stop these fish oil. And I got my blood work and it was so evident that I stopped and I had to start again.
But it is tough to take fish oil because when you take it, you like taste it for a long time.
The pills are just so big.
I know.
I wish there was like an IV drip I could do every day and I would just do it on my way to work.
I don't take fish oil. I'm not at that age yet, but
yeah, you
when
are.
you
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, me and Harvey agree on that one.
When you take the fish oil, does it, even though you don't bite into it, do you, how do I say this? Do you perhaps burp it up later?
No, you don't.
I wouldn't think
know,
so.
she's saying this, but 35
I Googled this. That's not good for you. It is taking 35 supplements every day is highly risky and generally considered a bad idea. You can get nutrients overload. It's dangerous. You're not supposed to be taking all those pills every day.
I would guess she has a cadre
You
of
don't take
doctors.
35 every day.
I take.
How many pills is that a year?
5 different things.
I take like 10 supplements.
I'm this close to getting
12,000
I'm this
pills
close
a
to
year.
getting one of those like little
I
pills.
take zinc.
That's.
I take
Vitamin.
magnesium.
What is that for? Bones?
No, it's for cramps actually.
You work out a
magnesium.
lot?
I take vitamin C.
Yep.
Oh, and I take. What's the one that's instead
Prevagen?
of no?
Seems like the one you should be taking because you can't remember anything.
Instead of wine, it's the there's
a wine pill.
No, it's a pill that you.
So like instead of keeping the
one glass of wine is supposed to be good for you.
Like the name resveratrol.
Toby from New York. I mean, I'm kind of with you guys as a former junior Olympian. The whole body technology vitamin thing isn't news to me. The question really is Kim Kardashian an athlete? 45 years old, running $1 billion industry. I mean, it kind of seems like work ethic to me. I'd be more surprised if she wasn't taking supplements to sustain the lifestyle.
What were you a junior Olympian in?
What sport?
I was a junior Olympic shot putter.
All right.
Yeah.
Show me form. Harvey used to do that, right?
See ya.
Coming up.
Billie Jean King is one of my heroes in life. In 1961, she was a student at a college in Los Angeles. She had dropped out because she became a professional tennis player and top of the world. She went back and she just got her degree.
Be right back.
Billie Jean King is one of my heroes in life.
You talk about her all the time.
Love her so much, and she did something so awesome. In 1961, she was a student at a college in Los Angeles that is now Cal State LA. And she had dropped out because she became a professional tennis player and top of the world. And she just got her degree.
65 years later, huh? She can't graduate based on what the curriculum was when she was going to school. It has to be now.
Right. Of course
So
it
she
is.
probably had to go for quite some time.
But I think it's just so great.
It's great.
And you know, it's funny because yesterday we saw Shaq getting another degree. And this just shows that sometimes when you go later in life, it is even more meaningful because you're not doing it just because your parents told you.
Right.
You're really trying to learn something.
Wow.
And just
I mean, it's
being
not
as
that you
accomplished as her.
it's not that you didn't learn anything when you were going because your parents wanted you to go. You still learned.
Did you?
I learned plenty.
Did you?
I learned plenty, I think. No?
Tomorrow.